Good evening, and thanks for joining us for News 19 at 11. I'm Sam Perez. Just a few hours ago, residents in Bamberg were continuing to clean up storm damage. South Carolina counties continue to have some of the highest flu rates in the country, but numbers did finally drop a bit last week. Taylor Swift's Eras tour broke records, but the battle to get a ticket broke a lot of Swifties' hearts. Peanut growers will start their season in the spring. And Efren, talk about a nutty story, but this weather is also a little nutty. It's been really warm. Tell us what is going on.
Yes, Andrea, that theme of lying was definitely something that came up a lot. And now this was hours that defense attorney Jim Griffin spent up on the stand delivering his closing arguments to the jury. We started this, we got here in January, and now it's March. And so we've listened to so much witness testimony. We've seen so much evidence.
Tonight, authorities are continuing to investigate a boat crash on Lake Murray that injured 3 people. In just under an hour, it will be Martin Luther King Jr. Day with celebrations starting early in the morning. Tonight, we have what you need to know. Before you head to college, the big test that students study for has some new changes. I'm talking about the SAT. And although it can be intimidating for some, the changes aim to put the student at the forefront. Now let me explain. The biggest change, it is all digital. That's right, number 2 pencils are a thing of the past.
I need to make my way there to try some of this food.
I know, me too, and good thing that the weather is good for that.
You are right about that. Let's look at this 7-day forecast.
Today marks the 14th annual Mardi Gras Columbia Festival, and hundreds came right here to let the good times roll. New research has identified 15 risk factors for young onset dementia, challenging the idea that it's only caused by genetics. For many of us, the ability to read is something we take for granted every day. But for thousands of adults in South Carolina, it's a skill they've fallen behind on. And now a nonprofit is expanding to help. People all over the world are getting ready to bring in the new year in less than 2 hours. And here in Columbia, the capital city fireworks will start right at midnight. Time for your morning headlines, the top stories you need to know in less than 2 minutes. This morning, the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control has updates on the latest flu numbers in our state. According to the health agency, South Carolina is still seeing widespread flu activity. There were 105 people who were hospitalized last week, bringing the total number of hospitalizations to over 4,000 this season. DHEC reported 1 additional flu-related death, pushing that total to 114 this flu season. And today is the first night of Ramadan, a holy month in Islam. It's a time of fasting, charity reflection, and worship for Muslims throughout the world. It also marks the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. During the month, followers of the Islamic faith don't eat food or drink water from dawn to dusk each day. Ramadan will end this year on the evening of April 9th. And this morning, the Gamecocks are still trending on social media thanks to a buzzer beater that helped them move forward in the SEC tournament. Now take a look at this play on your screen. Center Camila Cardoso shot her first ever 3-pointer at the buzzer and rescued the Gamecocks' perfect season with a 74-73 victory over the Tennessee Volunteers at the SEC tournament semifinals yesterday. The Gamecocks will now take on the LSU Tigers in another highly anticipated matchup in the tournament finals later on today. Sports Director Reggie Anderson will have more on the game coming up later in the show. Those are your morning headlines. For details on these stories and more, head to our website, WLTX.com. And you can also find the latest on the free News 19 app. The city of Forest Acres is petitioning people living in the area to help fill in the gaps or so-called donut holes, which is a part of land surrounded by a city that's not actually part of the city. The city says nearly 600 homeowners received postcards as part of the first phase of petitioning. News 19's Zoe Henry has the details.
There's at least one other that I know of.
For more information about the changes, head to our website, WLTX.com. The City of Columbia's Parking Services Department announced the P.J. Cannon parking facility on Taylor Street will be closed for a little longer for water sealant maintenance.
The parking facility will now reopen on March 13th at 7 in the morning. The city says monthly parkers are encouraged to use the Taylor Deck facility as well as on-street parking until Wednesday morning. Monthly parkers who display their pink PJ Cannon permit will not be cited while parking on street or at other parking facilities. They will also not need to feed the meter if you're parked on the street. Hours ago, the U.S. Central Command announced that an Army vessel is currently en route to the Eastern Mediterranean to provide humanitarian aid to Gaza. Here are new images of soldiers loading supplies onto the Army vessel. According to the statement, the support vessel left a military base near Newport News, Virginia, less than 36 hours after President Biden announced that the U.S. would provide assistance to Gaza by sea. The ship will be carrying the first equipment to establish a temporary pier in order to deliver supplies. The 2024 campaign was in full swing in Georgia yesterday, with dueling events from President Biden and former President Donald Trump. It comes as President Biden released a new ad and is planning millions of dollars in media in spending in the coming weeks. Bradley Blackburn has more.
Georgia is on the mind of the two men who want the White House in 2024.
Right now in the fundraising race, President Biden has a substantially larger campaign. Records from February show the Biden campaign and the DNC have roughly double the cash on hand compared to the Trump campaign and the RNC. Now, could the clock be running out on TikTok? In a rare unanimous bipartisan vote, a House committee has advanced a bill that could make the popular app unavailable in the U.S. unless it's divested from its China-based parent company, ByteDance. The bill would also allow the executive branch to block access to an app owned by a foreign adversary if it's determined to be a national security threat. It's unclear if the bill has enough votes to pass the full House. Lawmakers have long warned that TikTok could pose a national security threat due to its ownership by the Chinese company. TikTok says blocking the app would violate users' First Amendment rights. And it's been a rough week for United Airlines and its passengers after 6 different jet lines had problems, with some even forced to make emergency landings. The latest incident happened late Friday night in Los Angeles when a plane was forced to land after the crew reported hydraulics issues. Another incident happened earlier in the day in Houston when a jet slid off the taxiway while landing, and also a wheel fell off during a takeoff in San Francisco on Thursday. Earlier in the week, it was reported that a plane experienced a mid-air engine fire as well. The plane problems come as the busy spring travel season takes off. And speaking of airline trouble, the Department of Justice has announced that it will be launching a criminal investigation into the Alaska Airlines door blowout that happened earlier this year. The department will be looking into whether anything could affect the prosecution agreement with aircraft manufacturer Boeing. This comes after a preliminary report released last month found that 4 bolts that were meant to hold the door plug in place were missing, causing the door to blow open mid-flight. In Blythewood, the Chamber of Commerce held its 5th annual Rib Fest at Doco Meadows Park. The rainy weather did not stop people from enjoying food from more than 50 competitors with 10,000 pounds of fresh ribs. There was beer, food trucks of course, vendors, and live music. A group of women gathered at Blaney Baptist Church in Elgin to make blankets for the community. Overcomers in Christ Ministries and Blanketing Families Incorporated partnered to make blankets for those in need. The blanket will go to the unhoused, those fighting cancer, and others who may just need an act of kindness. Annette Hammond, one of the co-founders of Blanketing Families, says these blankets can really make an impact on people.
You never know what these blankets can do in someone's life.
The charity Overcomers in Christ typically partners with other nonprofits in the area to be able to host community volunteer events. Their next event will be a community cleanup, and as soon as we have the details for that, we'll be sure to post them on our website at WLTX.com. And Drake's Duckin' held a restaurant sneak peek in downtown Columbia last night.
Friends and family shared in the celebration with a sample of some of the new menu items. The restaurant will have a refreshed menu with homemade dressing, palmetto cheese, and a new space for visitors to see. All of the original food will remain on the menu, and they will also be adding tofu for non-meat eaters. We spoke with the manager, and she shared her excitement about the upcoming grand opening.
I'm so excited.
The official reopening will be the week of March 19th, and the exact day and time will be posted on social media. There are plenty of things to do on this Sunday Fun Day, including an opportunity to get some inspiration for your spring garden. We'll have the details coming up in 3 Things to Know.